When I was 17, my mom told me love was just a pretty word poor people used when they had nothing else to offer. I laughed when she said it because I thought she was being dramatic. But 2 months later, I was standing in the rain outside my school, watching the boy I loved walk away from me with an envelope full of my mother's money in his hand. And the worst part? He looked back at me like he wanted to explain everything. But he didn't. He just left. My name is Olivia Carter, and from the outside, my life looked like a dream. My family owned hotels, my mom appeared in magazines, and every morning a driver dropped me off at Rosefield Academy, the most expensive private school in the city. People thought being rich meant being free. But in my house, money was just another lock. My mom, Victoria Carter, controlled everything. My clothes, my friends, my grades, my social media, even the way I smiled in photos. If I laughed too loudly, she said I looked cheap. If I cried, she said I looked weak. And if I ever said I wanted something different from what she planned, she looked at me like I had betrayed the family name. Her favorite sentence was, "I know what is best for you." I hated that sentence, because it always meant she was about to take something away from me. At school, everyone treated me like a princess. Girls copied my outfits. Boys tried to sit near me at lunch. Teachers smiled at me, even when I forgot homework. But nobody really knew me. Except Madison Reed. At least, I thought she did. Madison was my best friend since 9th grade. She was pretty, loud, funny, and always knew the newest gossip before anyone else. She called me Liv and said we were sisters. But sometimes, when people complimented me, I saw her smile change for half a second. Like she was happy for me, but only if I was not happier than her. I ignored it. Because when you grow up lonely, even a fake friend can feel better than no friend. Then Ethan Brooks arrived. He transferred to Rosefield on a scholarship halfway through the year. Everyone noticed him immediately, but not because he was rich. He wasn't. His uniform jacket was secondhand, his shoes were worn, and he carried his books in an old canvas bag. Madison whispered, "Cute but tragic." I should have laughed. Instead, I kept looking at him. Ethan had dark brown hair that always fell into his eyes, a quiet smile, and this calm confidence that did not beg anyone to like him. The first time we spoke, I was hiding behind the music building after a fight with my mom. I had just gotten a text from her assistant reminding me that I had a dinner with Logan Pierce that weekend. Logan was the son of my mother's business partner. He was handsome, rich, polite, and completely boring. My mom called him a smart match. I called him a business meeting in human form. I was crying when Ethan found me. He did not ask why. He just sat on the step beside me and handed me a tissue. I said, "You don't have to pretend you don't see me crying." He said, "I wasn't pretending. I was waiting for you to decide if you wanted someone to see." That was the first time someone let me have a choice. After that, we kept running into each other. In the library. At the vending machines. Outside the art room. Except after a while, I realized we were not running into each other. We were looking for each other. Ethan was different from everyone I knew. He worked part-time at a bookstore after school. He cooked dinner for his little brother. He knew how to fix his own bike. He listened when I talked, not because he wanted something from me, but because he actually cared. One afternoon I told him, "Everyone thinks my life is perfect." He looked at me and said, "Perfect things are usually the loneliest. People admire them, but nobody touches them." I laughed, But my chest hurt, because he understood. For the first time in my life, I did not feel like Olivia Carter, daughter of Victoria Carter, future wife of some rich boy, walking advertisement for my family's perfect image. I just felt like Olivia. And I was happy. That was my first mistake, because in my world, happiness never stayed hidden for long. Madison noticed first. She caught me smiling at my phone during lunch and snatched it from my hand. When she saw Ethan's name, her eyes went wide. "Ethan Brooks?" she said. "Liv, seriously?" I grabbed my phone back. "What?" She lowered her voice. "He's cute, but your mom would bury him alive." "She doesn't need to know," I said. Madison stared at me for a second, then smiled. But it was that same strange smile again. A week later, my mother knew. I came home and found her sitting in the living room with my phone on the glass table in front of her. My stomach dropped. She had my messages, all of them. I said, "You went through my phone?" She said, "I pay for it." I said, "That does not make my life yours." Her face went cold. Then she placed a photo on the table. It was Ethan and me outside the bookstore. He was holding my hand. I looked happier than I had looked in years. My mom tapped the photo with one perfect red nail. "This boy is not part of your future," I said. "Maybe I don't want the future you picked." She stood up slowly. "Olivia, girls like you do not date boys like him. They feel sorry for them. They donate to them. They do not fall in love with them." I felt something inside me snap. "You don't know him. I know enough." "No," I said. "You know his bank account. That's not the same thing." She slapped me. Not hard enough to leave a mark, just hard enough to remind me who had the power. Then she said, "You will end this." I said, "No." That was the first time I ever said no to her and meant it. The next day, I told Ethan everything. I expected him to be angry. Instead, he looked sad. He said, "I don't want to be the reason your life becomes harder." I said, "You're the reason it finally feels like mine." He held my hand under the library table. For a moment, I believed love could win just because it was real. That was my second mistake. 2 days later, Madison told me she had seen Ethan talking to my mom's assistant near the parking lot. I did not believe her. Then she showed me a picture. Ethan standing beside a black car. My mom's assistant handing him an envelope. My heart started beating so hard I could barely breathe. Madison touched my shoulder and whispered, "Liv, I'm so sorry." I ran. I found Ethan behind the gym, holding the envelope. He looked shocked when he saw me. "Olivia, wait." I stared at the envelope. "How much?" His face went pale. "It's not what you think." I laughed, but it came out broken. That is exactly what people say when it is exactly what I think. He stepped toward me. I stepped back. "Did my mom pay you to leave me?" He did not answer fast enough. That silence destroyed me. I whispered, "Wow, she was right." His eyes filled with panic. "No, Olivia, please listen." But I was already crying. I said, "I trusted you." Then I walked away, and he let me. That night, I locked myself in my room and cried until I felt empty. My mom came in without knocking. She looked at me like I was a child who had finally learned a lesson. She said, "It hurts now, but one day you will thank me." I looked at her and said, "If love makes people cruel, then maybe you never loved anyone." For the first time, she flinched, but only for a second. Then she said, "Get dressed. Logan is coming for dinner." I did not speak during dinner. Logan talked about college, business, tennis, and some charity gala his family was hosting. My mother smiled like we were already engaged. Madison was there too, invited by my mom because she was such a good influence. She kept touching Logan's arm when she laughed. I noticed. But I did not care. My heart was somewhere else, bleeding behind a gymnasium. After dinner, I went to the balcony. Madison followed me. She said, "You know, maybe this is better. Ethan was never really your level." I turned to her. Something in her voice was too satisfied. I asked, "How did you know where to take that picture?" She blinked. "What?" "The picture of Ethan and my mom's assistant. How did you know they would be there?" Madison's smile disappeared. For one tiny second, I saw the truth. Then she said, "I was just worried about you." But now I was listening differently. The next morning, I went to Grandma Rose. My grandmother lived in a small house behind our old family estate. My mom said she liked privacy, but I knew the truth. Grandma Rose was the only person who ever told my mother no, so my mother kept her at a distance. When I told her everything, she did not look surprised, she just sighed. "Your mother has always been afraid of love she cannot control," I asked. "Why?" Grandma Rose opened an old photo album. Inside was a picture of my mother at 19. She was standing beside a young man in a mechanic's jacket, smiling like the sun had chosen her personally. I had never seen my mother look that happy. "His name was Daniel," Grandma said. "He was kind, poor, and completely in love with her." "What happened?" "Your grandfather offered him money to leave. He took it." My chest tightened. "So Mom thinks Ethan is just like him." Grandma shook her head. "No. Your mother thinks every love story must end like hers, because if yours doesn't, then she has to admit she gave up too soon." I looked at the photo again. Then Grandma took out a folded letter. This arrived years later. Your mother never read it. I opened it with shaking hands. Daniel had not taken the money for himself. His little sister needed surgery. My grandfather knew that. He offered Daniel enough money to save her, but only if he disappeared from Victoria's life. Daniel wrote that leaving her destroyed him, but letting his sister die would have destroyed him too. I whispered. Mom never knew. Grandma said she refused to know. Suddenly, Ethan's envelope looked different in my memory. His little brother. His sick father. The way he had tried to explain. I ran to the bookstore. Ethan was not there. The owner said he had quit that morning. I ran to his apartment building. His neighbor said his family had left for the bus station. So I ran there too, in my school shoes, in the rain, like some dramatic girl in a movie. And honestly, I did not care how ridiculous I looked. I found him near gate 7, holding his little brother's backpack. He froze when he saw me. I was soaked, crying, and out of breath. I said, "Tell me the truth." He looked down. My dad lost his job. My brother's school fees were overdue. Your mom knew. She offered me money to leave you alone. I swallowed hard, and you took it. Yes, the word hurt, but this time I waited. He said, then I gave it back. My eyes widened. What? He opened his bag and showed me the envelope. The money was still inside. I was going to return it to your mother today. I should have told you immediately. I was ashamed. For one second, I thought maybe your life would be easier without me. And maybe my family would survive because of it. But then I realized I would be selling the only honest thing in my life. I started crying again. He said, I did not walk away because I stopped loving you. I walked away because I thought loving me would cost you everything, I whispered. You are not everything I would lose. You are the first thing I ever chose. He looked like he might cry too. Then his little brother said, So, are you guys back together? Or is this still the sad part? For the first time in days, I laughed. But the story was not over, because my mother arrived 10 minutes later. Of course she did. Victoria Carter did not chase people. She sent cars, assistants, lawyers. But that day, she came herself. She walked into the bus station in heels, holding an umbrella, looking furious and terrified. "Olivia," she said, "come with me." I stood beside Ethan. "No." Her eyes moved to him. "You should have taken the money and disappeared." Ethan looked straight at her. "I almost did, but I am not the man who broke your heart." My mother went still. I pulled Daniel's letter from my bag. Grandma had given it to me. I handed it to her. At first, she refused to take it, so I said, "He did not leave because he loved money more than you. He left because Grandpa forced him to choose between you and his sister's life." My mother's face changed. For once, not controlled, not polished, just broken. She read the letter with trembling hands, and, in that crowded bus station, Victoria Carter started to cry. Not pretty tears, real ones. The kind she had taught me never to show. She whispered, "I hated him for 20 years, I said softly. "And then you tried to make me hate Ethan before he could hurt me." She looked at me. "I was trying to protect you." "No," I said. "You were trying to protect the part of yourself that never healed." For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Madison appeared, because apparently every disaster in my life needed an audience. She looked at my mom and said, "Mrs. Carter, I told you Ethan was bad for her." I turned slowly. "You told her?" Madison froze. My mother looked confused. Then everything came out. Madison had been sending my mom screenshots for weeks. She had followed Ethan. She had taken the photo. She had told my mother when and where to find him. Why? Because Logan liked me. And Madison liked Logan. She thought if Ethan disappeared and I became miserable, Logan would finally notice her. It was so petty, so cruel, and so Madison that I almost laughed. I said, "You were never my friend." Madison's eyes filled with tears, but they looked angry, not sorry. "You have everything," she snapped. "Everyone always chooses you." I looked at Ethan, then at my mother, then at the envelope of money that almost ruined us. "No," I said, "people choose the version of me they can use." Ethan chose the version of me I was scared to show. Madison had no answer. My mother told her to leave, and for once, Madison listened. After that day, nothing magically became perfect. My mother did not suddenly become warm and easy. Ethan's family was still struggling. I was still terrified of standing up for myself. But something changed. My mother returned Daniel's letter to Grandma Rose and finally asked to hear the whole story. Ethan kept working at the bookstore, and I helped him study for exams. Logan sent me one message saying, "Honestly, I respect the drama." I did not reply. Madison transferred schools before graduation. And me? I stopped being the perfect daughter. I became the honest one. Sometimes my mom still said, "I know what is best for you." But now I said, "Maybe, but I still get to choose." The first time I said that, she looked annoyed. The second time, she looked tired. The third time, she almost smiled. A year later, Ethan and I stood outside Rosefield Academy after graduation. He squeezed my hand and asked, "Do you ever regret it?" I looked at my mother across the courtyard. She was watching us, not smiling exactly, but not stopping us either. Then I looked at Ethan and said, "I regret spending so long thinking love had to be approved before it was real." He grinned. "And now?" I held his hand tighter. "Now I know real love is not the person who buys your silence. It is the person who gives you back your voice." And for the first time in my life, I did not feel like a doll